They say the city is a place where diamonds speckle the sidewalk. Money falls from the sky. They say a colored person can do well going there. All you need is a fare out of Greenville. All you need is to know somebody on the other side waiting to cross you over, like the River Jordan, and then you are in paradise. The beginning of the leaving. When my mother returns from New York, she has a new plan. All of us are going to move there. We don't know any place else but Greenville now. New York is the only picture she shows us. In magazines and the two she has in her pocketbook of our Aunt Kay. In one there are two other people standing with her. Bernie and Peaches, our mother tells us. We all used to be friends here in Nickeltown. That's all the young kids used to talk about. Our grandmother tells us going to New York City. My grandmother smiles at us and says, "We'll be going to New York City. I just have to figure some things out first, that's all. I don't know what I'd do without you all under me," my grandmother says, and there's a sadness in her voice. "Don't know what I'd do," she'd say again, even sadder this time. As a child, I smelled the air. Mama takes her coffee out to the front porch, sips it slow. 2 steps down, her feet are covered in grass and dew. "New York doesn't smell like this," she says. I follow her, the jewel cool against my face, the soft hush of wind through the leaves. My mother and I are alone again. Her coffee is sweetened with condensed milk, her hair pulled back into a braid, her dark fingers circling her cup as if I ask, she will hold it to my lips. Let me taste the bittersweet of it. It's dawn, and the birds have come alive, chasing each other from maple to pine and back to maple again. This is how time passes here. The maple will be bare branched come winter, Mama says, but the pines, they just keep on living. And the air is what I'll remember, even once we move to New York. It'll all smell like this, my mother says, wet grass and pine, like memory. Harvest time. When Daddy's garden is ready, it is filled with words that make me laugh when I say them. Pole beans and tomatoes, okra and corn, sweet peas and sugar snaps and lettuce and squash. We could have imagined. Who could have imagined? So much color that the ground disappears and we are left walking through the autumn's worth of crazy words that beneath the magic of my grandmother's hand becoming side dishes. Grown folk stories. Warm autumn night with crickets crying, the smell of pine coming soft on the wind and the women on the porch quilts across their laps. Aunt Lucinda, Miss Bell, and whatever neighbor has a breath or two left at the end of the day for sitting and running our mouths. That's when we listen to the grown folks talk. Hope, Dell, me sitting quiet on the stairs. We know one word from us will bring a hush upon the women and grandmother's finger. Suddenly pointing toward the house, her soft-spoken, "I think it's time for you kids to go to bed now," ushering us into our room. So we are silent, our backs against posts and back of the stairs. Hope's elbow on his knees, head down. Now is when we learn everything there is to know about the people down the road, and the day work houses, and the sisters in Kingdom Hall, and the faraway relatives we rarely see. Long after the stories are told, I remember them, whisper them back to Hope and Della late into the night. She's the one who left Nickeltown in the daytime. That one, Grandma says, wasn't afraid of anything, retelling each story, making up what I didn't understand or miss when voices dropped too low. I talk until my sister and brother's soft breaths tell me they've fallen asleep. Then I let the stories live inside my head again and again until the real world fades back into cricket lullabies and my own dreams. Tobacco. Summer is over a kiss of chill in the southern air. We see the dim orange of my grandfather's cigarette as that makes his way down the darkening road. Here is evening greetings and coughing that follows them. Not enough breath left now to sing, so I sing for him in my head, where only I can hear. Where will the wedding supper be? Way down yonder in a hollow tree. The old people used to say a pinch of dirt in the mouth can tell tobacco's story. What crops are ready for picking, what needs to be left to grow, what soil is rich enough for planting, and patches of land that need a year of rest. I do not know yet how sometimes the earth makes a promise I can never keep. Tobacco fields lay fallow, crops picked and cleaned. My grandfather coughs again, and the earth waits for what and who it will get in return. How to listen number 3. Middle of the night, my grandfather is coughing me upright, startled. My mother leaving Greenville. It is late autumn now, the smell of wood burning, the pot-bellied stove like a warm, soft hand in the center of my grandparents' living room. Its black pipe stretching into the ceiling and disappearing. So many years have passed since we last saw our father, his absence like a bubble in my older brother's life that pops again and again into a whole lot of tiny bubbles of memory. You were just a baby, he says to me. You were so lucky you don't remember the fighting or anything. It's like erasers came through her memory, my sister says. Erase, erase, erase. But now my mother is leaving again. This I will remember. Halfway home, number 1. New York, my mother says. Soon I'll find us a place there. Come back and bring you all home. She wants a place of her own that is not the Nelsonville house, the Columbus house, the Greenville house. Looking for the next place, our next place right now, her mother says. We are only halfway home. And I imagine her standing in the middle of the road, her arms out, fingers pointing north and south. I want to ask, will there always be a road? Will there always be a bus? Will we always have to choose between home and home? My mother looks back on Greenville. After our dinner and bath, after our powdered and pajama bodies are tucked 3 across into bed, after Winnie the Pooh and kisses on our foreheads and longer than usual hugs, my mother walks away from the house on Hall Street, out into the growing night, down a long, dusty road to where the Nickeltown bus takes her to the Greyhound station. Then more dust. Then she's gone. New York ahead of her. Her family behind. She moves to the back, her purse in her lap. The land, pulling her gaze to the window once more before darkness covers it, and for many hours there are only shadows and stars and tears and hope. The last fireplace. We know our days are counted here. Each evening we wait for the first light of the fireflies, catch them in a jar, then let them go again, as though we understand their need for freedom, as though our silent prayers to stay in Greenville will be answered if we do what we know is right. Changes. Now the evenings are quiet with my mother gone, as though the night is listening to the way we are counting the days. We know even the feel of our grandmother's brush being pulled gently through our hair, will fast become a memory. Those Saturday evenings at her kitchen table, the smells of Dixie peach hair grease, the sizzle of our straightening combs, the hiss of our iron against damp, newly washed ribbons, all of this may happen again, but in another place. We sit on our grandparents' porch, shivering already against the coming winter, and talk softly about Greenville summer, how when we come back, we'll do all the stuff we always did. Hear the same stories laugh, the same jokes catch fireflies in the same mason jars, promise each other future summers that are good as the past, but we know we are lying. Coming home will be different now. This place called Greenville, this neighborhood called Nickeltown, will change some, and so will each of us.